more exciting experience for all of you. So here we go. Ignite session 5, January leads. Does everyone have their participant guide? They can see the slides on the screen. We're good? They can hear me well? Okay, excellent. Okay, let's do it. Sorry, there's a bunch of people still coming in. So here we go. So, okay. Generate leads. We're going to talk, you should have talked already about being a real estate expert. We're going to talk about lead generation right now. So let's talk about this. We're going to talk about generate your leads, course overview. We're right here. You should have had Spark Your Career, Embrace Your Job earlier. I think it was yesterday. And today we're talking about generate leads, getting right into lead generation, which I love. So, okay, let's go on. So today's agenda, we're going to talk about you as a lead generator. So good part about real estate is you're an independent contractor, right? Bad part is you're responsible for your own business. Now, the brokers can help you. We can train you. We can give you conversations and topics and tools to help you be successful. But in the end, you have to do the work to do that. And you are the lead generator. And I tell this to everyone, you're not an agent if you don't have clients. I know you get a license, but that doesn't mean you're an agent, because there are a bunch of agents that have licenses that have no clients and no transactions, right? So, okay. We're going to talk about the lead generation model, and I'm going to show you a few tools that I use personally in my real estate business to help me track my leads and my clients. And you're going to have to, you want to get in this mode of how you track your clients and do the lead generation model, how it works, and how we convert people to our clients. And we're going to talk about your sphere of influence. The vast majority of business, and every year the National Association of Realtors does this survey, and they talk to a bunch of home buyers and home sellers, and they say, how did you know your agent? How did you find them? And consistently every year, over 70% of their clients who buy or sell a home find their agent 2 ways. What do you think those are? Anyone? You can unmute.
Referral.
Referral, yes. Yeah. So 2 ways, totals over 70%, is that agent had a friend or family member that they knew referred them, one of their friend or family members, to them to do real estate. So referral. The second one is they knew the real estate agent already. So I have a bunch of agents who are afraid to talk to their own people. And if you're afraid to talk to your own people, you're giving up 70% of the buyer and seller pool right off the bat. I just want to point that out right now to you. Does that make sense? So please understand that lead generation and your sphere of influence is going to be the #1 source of your business, and it should be the #1 source of business for most of your career. Only if you get like a very big team, are you going to, that's probably going to switch a little bit. But for most of your career, and you can have a very successful millionaire real estate agent business off a sphere, just your sphere of influence. That's how powerful it can be. So we're going to talk about that. We're talking about expanding your SOI, getting deep with your SOI. We track birthdays, we track kids' names, we track 8 home anniversary dates, right? We track everything about our database so that we know. My team does a Thanksgiving pie giveaway. We track their pie preferences, right? So like, how do you go about creating your database and expanding on it is very important as well. Lead gen best practices. We're going to talk about how to lead gen. What is the best way to do it? I can talk about personalities. I'm a firm believer that you need to do lead generation to your personality and where you have a nexus to. That way you are more likely to do it. And I consider lead generation kind of like, I don't know, for dieting and exercise. How many of us want to be in a different shape, physical shape, or different weight than we are right now in our life? I raised my hand, right? Okay. All right, yeah. So if you raised your hand, what you're saying is, and I can tell you literally in 30 days, you can make choices, literally choices in your life. You can make those choices and change that literally 30 days, 45 days. Now, 1, it's hard to make those choices. And 2, being consistent with those will be super hard, right? So what I want you to understand is lead generation is kind of like diet and exercise. You do it, it's very good for your pocketbook and your real estate business, but it's hard to stay consistent. Does it make sense? So we're going to talk about best practices, how to stay consistent, how to match lead generation with you so that you're more likely to do it and do it well and do it consistently. So, and finally, we're going to talk about recaps and success systems. So I'm super excited. This is one of my most passionate issues I love talking about, even when I was a coach before and even now. So any questions or anything before we get into this? No, you guys, okay. It's kind of quiet out there, but I usually like more of a crowd here. We'll make that. So, okay.
I do have a question.
Okay.
This is something that I asked you yesterday. For those of us, in case something happens and we're not able to make the meetings, are they gonna? I know their meetings are being recorded. Are we gonna have them emailed to them, or is there another way that we can access them?
Access. Say that again. Access what?
The meeting, like for tonight, for example, like if something came up and I wasn't
we are
here
making
today.
a recording, and you will get an email with the recording for tonight too. So,
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
if you're worried about that or want to rehash things, happy to do that.
Perfect.
And just so you know, I think I've been 15. A little bit of background on me. I've been a mega agent for a long time. I was individually about 5 years. I was averaging about 30 deals a year. I started a team. My team now, we do 80 to 100 deals a year. I'm doing actually commercial now too. So I'm a millionaire real estate agent. I've done a lot of deals. I invest in real estate. I flip homes. I own rentals. I have ancillary businesses. I have a property management business as well. So there's a lot of opportunity there that comes with real estate. First, you have to get good at sales, but when you get good at sales and really good at those, then you're gonna see something. So happy to ask a lot of questions on all that. So let's go. We're going into lead generator today. Okay, the 6 core competencies sorry, of your business is lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments. Present to buyer and seller agreements, show buyers a market, write and negotiate contracts, coordinate the sale closing, manage the money. Now, I want to point out something. 2 through 6 require that you do 1 really well. And without 1, 2 through 6 doesn't happen. So I want to point that out to you. So on my real estate team, when we get in the morning, we don't talk about our escrows or we don't talk about our clients. We talk about our leads. We talk about how many people we're going to contact today. We talk about lead generation because without lead generation, nothing else happens. So I can't be more, but you want to know these 6 core companies. So if you're saying, what is my job description as a real estate agent? This is your job description. And if I had a marker, I would put a big marker around number 1, because that's like, as a new agent, it's going to end up like 80% of your time, your job description. As you get better, as you get bigger, it's probably going to end up like 50% of your time. And even mega agents is like 50% of your time. So, and then when you get to a team, you can maybe go a little bit, but you have to get leverage to make that smaller. But that is going to be, when I talk core competencies of your job, you're going to have to be good at that. So let's see, what would you say would make someone like, trust, and want to do business with you and believe that you can get across the finish line? What do you think the qualities of that agent, what characteristics or behaviors would that agent have? This is a participatory question, so what do you think?
What value you can bring to them.
What value you can bring to them? Okay, so you're going to be articulate on your value you can bring to them. Excellent, great, okay. Trust. How do you develop trust? Okay, yeah, you got to be trustworthy, right? No one's going to do a real estate transaction without being trustworthy. And I tell people this, I know we're in the business to sell homes. That's what our license says. You're licensed to sell homes. But everyone chooses, they don't choose the home, then go find the agent to help them buy it.
Be consistent.
Be consistent. Yes, super consistency. Yes, consistency. Okay, excellent. Yeah.
You
Value,
listen.
compassion. Yeah, compassion, integrity, big, knowledgeable, honest. Right.
Listener.
Listener, great listener. I would say that's one of the best skills that if you can learn as an agent, be a great listener. And there's a whole nother class I have a whole class I teach on listening. But we can talk about that later. But yeah, follow up, accountable. Yeah, so caring, exactly. So I want you to understand, you are the product. They choose to work with you, then go find the home. They choose to work with you, then list the home for sale. Does it make sense? So you don't sell homes, you sell you. And the agents that struggle with this core competency is they don't understand that. They don't understand that you're what they're selling. Your presentation, how you show up, your consistency, how you communicate from the phone call to the appointment and at the appointment, how you show up at the appointment. All those things are your customer service. Those things are how you generate trust, and and reliability. Yes. So what I want you to understand is what I love about real estate. I got into real estate you know, I love that I had the ability to do my own work and earn my own money. I love that. I love that, and I still love that about real estate. What I ended up appreciating that I learned is, as a better person I got, the more business I got, the more money I got. When I started becoming a better listener, when I was more consistent, more trustworthy, had better integrity, those things got me more business. Heck, they may be a better husband and father too. So you know, all those things I want you to understand are important when we talk lead generation, because you are the product. And if you have insecurities about your ability to do that, that's going to be the biggest thing that holds you back in success in real estate, is your ability, your lack of trust in that knowledge. So I want to put that out there. Okay. Whew, okay, let's move forward. Whew, okay. Lead generation fears and myths. And I hear this a lot. Ooh, I hear this a lot. And I hear it from my agents all the time. I think lead generation is really difficult. And let me tell you this. I used to teach a night class in my office like this. And literally, I'd do this class. And I'd say, hey, look, there's stats. Do you guys know what the success rate of agents are in real estate? 50% of you will quit in 1 to 2 years. 75% of you will quit in 4 to 5 years. And actually about 20% make it a full-time career. And I tell people, I do a class, Ignite, just like this, and we do lead generation. The first thing I say is, hey, we're getting a call session. I want you to, now we do lead generation, call your sphere, which is people you know, and I'm gonna pick up your phone and we're gonna call, and we practice a script. We practice a script of talking to people how to ask for referrals. And I said, I want you to pick up your phone and call 3 people. And you can call your mom, call your spouse, call your brother, sister, I don't care. Call your mom, you can flub up the script and she's gonna be like, honey, what do you want, right? You know, I don't care, just call anybody, anyone, just get in the habit of making that conversation. And literally I say, okay, we're gonna do this for the next 30 minutes, call. And we're in an Ignite class. Well, literally, this is the first class of their career. They're getting job trained in their career. And if I broke the class into thirds, I would say 1/3 picks up their phone, 1/3 picks up their phone and they go on social media or start texting instead of calling, and another third just don't do anything. They're just scared. And I go around to the people that are not doing anything or texting, calling, and say, well, this is a phone activity, and if you can't make phone calls in this world and create relationships, they're going to have issues. And then I get them going. But the people that pick up the phone, I know they're going to make it. The people that kind of text and say, if I can get them to a phone call, they can make it with some training and some coaching. And the people that can't pick up the phone, the fear debilitates them so much, I know they're likely the 1 to 2 year crowd. All right. So my question to you is, that's a choice. Just like exercise and diet, picking up the phone call and overcoming fear is a choice, right? Or most people have a fear of getting rejected or having a fear of bothering people. So what is your advice for improving insecurity? If you're a fan of podcasts, podcasts are very strong for improving insecurity. There's a lot of podcasters that talk a lot about a mindset. I would focus a lot on mindset. The MREA podcast is a good one. I do Ed Milet. I like a lot of people do great podcasts to do that. There are great books. One Thing is a great book for improving. And also there's some activities you can do. Knowledge improves people's feeling of security about their job. So like embracing the job and understand that this job requires a lot of knowledge, and understand that you need to immerse yourself in there, right? Like those things are going to help you build security in job. I don't have time to lead generate. Ooh, if you don't have time to lead generate, you don't have a business. But I don't know what to say. That's a big one. I don't know what to say. And we can go over that. Atomic Habits. Oh, I love Atomic Habits. Great book. If you want to learn how to build better habits and make better decisions, Atomic Habits is a great book to read. Thank you, Michelle. I'm afraid of making mistakes. Who's afraid of making mistakes? So there's generally 2 people in this world. If you're afraid of getting rejection or making mistakes, what your problem is, you're going to try to learn everything before you actually lead generate. And the problem with that is there are a lot of things you have to learn while you lead generate and go on appointments that you can't learn in the classroom. And I give an example of football. You could be a great college quarterback and light it up, and then you get to the NFL, and then you have 300 people, linemen that are really good coming at you, and who can throw the ball with a 300-pound lineman coming at you? They can throw the ball. They have the mechanics to it, but who can handle the stress of it at the time is going to make the difference. And that's why I say you have to learn. You can't be afraid of making mistakes. You just have to go for it. Okay. Woo. So we like to say it was confusing effort with enjoyment. Lead generation is actually easy. It's just not fun. And what we say is lead generation is simple. If I say call 20 people and say this, that's easy. It's not fun though. Does it make sense? Like, and I kind of like diet and exercise. You have to kind of get going on it, and then you have to do it and do it. And after a while, it feels pretty good, but you do it. I had an issue of making the time to lead generate and protect that time. I'm going to say this right now. There's a little hack for lead generation. If you're having trouble doing lead generation, some of you know, so you're like, what the heck? But most top agents time block their lead generation time, meaning they put it on their schedule. They don't put an appointment. They literally put an appointment on their schedule, and they say on their calendar, and they say lead generation. And if you want to get better at it, there's a little hack. If you say lead generation, and if you write down in there who you're going to call, or what group are you going to call? I'm going to call my family today, my relatives today. And you also put where you're going to do it. You put who, where, and how you're going to do it. You're 90% more likely to do it. Did you know that? Your brain will wrap its head around it. It won't become confusing and scary at the time. So that's a little hack there. If you can get more detail on your lead generation, I can tell you the top agents, including myself, we block time to lead generate and we don't overschedule it. And the best agents that I know in real estate are sacred with their lead gen time. And actually, if you came on my team, I'd be like, yeah, you don't do any other thing but lead generate for the first 2 hours of the day. That's what we do. Because that's how important it is. Okay. I don't know what to say. I get down the path of mastering dialogue skills needed in this business. I want to say this. There are ways to, oh, my office has lead gen time after scripting at the market. Perfect. Yeah, literally my team, and I did this for years, 8:45, we do script practice to 9 to 11 we call, 11 to 12 we do follow up on those calls. Literally that's the mantra. That's what we did. That's what we did. Got me to 80 to 100 transactions a year doing that, right? So, on a path, just know talking and conversation, listening skills, all the things you talked about in there, or we call those soft skills. They are learned. Like I said, I can do a 30-minute to an hour class on listening, right? Like these things are skills that you need to learn. They're not hard skills like, do I understand the contract? They're skills that make you a better person. What is overscheduling? Oh, okay. How many of you work from home? You work from home right now. How many of you are sitting at home? You're supposed to be lead generating. And you're like, man, I got to wash the dishes. Right? Or the I really need to do the laundry. Right? I know you're feeling it. Or like, man, I'm hungry. I just need to go get a bite to eat. I'm all right. I don't know about you. That's what when I work at home, that's how I feel. Right? So, or you make so many distractions happen over time. You think you're going to lead generate. Your willpower goes worse in the evening. So if you think I'm going to call people from 5 to 7 because that's when most people are home, how tired do you usually feel at the end of the day from 5 to 7 o'clock? Does that make sense? So overscheduling, like, yeah. So people overschedule stuff. Like you have it blocked on your calendar, but you know, I really need to get to that dentist appointment. So you put it there. So when I say when I saw time block and don't overschedule, what I say is, if that's blocked, then you schedule your dentist appointment at a different time. When you have the option, you see it on your calendar, you don't schedule over it. And that's what I mean. So Or the kids need to take a shower. Yeah. Yeah. Trust me, that's real. I have to get my son to, oh man. I'm afraid of making mistakes. I found that lead generation is nothing more than setting a task. Skills are well documented. There is no mistake you can have on a phone call that can't be fixed. I can tell you that. And I've had people call me, I've called people and they're like, F you, blah, 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 throwing up things, and I've converted them to clients. Right? So there are skills and things you can do to turn around conversations, right? So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's how you learn. And I can't stress that enough. So, okay. We're just going to talk about, this is your sphere of influence. It's you, and there's rings around you. Now I want you to think about your circle, your sphere. And the farther you get out there, the less of a relationship they have with you, right? So your inner ring, these are going to be your close friends. These are going to be your family. These are going to be people, and I hope you have a good enough reputation with your friends and family that they're willing to refer you. If you don't, that's okay. I've coached that too. I've had people like not have good relationships with their friends and family, and we had to go deep dive about being a better relative, right? So, so that's okay too. You can improve being a relative. You just have to change your mindset a little bit about things, right? So the true story, I recruited this agent and he was talking and he was brand new. He was with it 1 year at a company coming over. He hadn't done a deal yet. Whole year done doing it. It's like, I'm like, okay, dude, let's start on your sphere. Who do you got? He's like, I don't really talk to my family. I'm like, what do you mean you don't talk to them? And he had a big family, like 20 people. I'm like, what do you mean you don't talk to your family? It's like, we don't get along. I was like, why don't you get along? I think they're envy of my success. I'm like, you've been in real estate, you have done 0 deals, and they're envious of your success. And he's like, and we had to have a long talk about like, you need to be a better relative, right? Because you're not going to get referrals. And if you think you're going to go fish in the 30% pond, so think about this. We talked about building trust, right? Building trust is like a meter. The more you input into it, they get to a certain level, they'll sign up to be a buyer for you. And there's a higher level, they'll sign up to list a home with you. That you have to develop that trust. When you don't know someone, you're a stranger, you're starting at 0. And so you got to get to 100 to get them to be a buyer for you. You got to do things in conversation to get them to 100. Now, if you're their friend or family, they should be at like 90 already or 100 already. Does that make sense? So you're fishing in an easier pond. If you want to start your business and work on the 0 crowd, man, you don't think there's agents like me who are 15 years in this business, 16 years in the business that can get them 0 to 100 from a 0 crowd in an easy way, and you guys are going to struggle with that? Yeah, so you got to shop in your certain things. So think about your circles. After you're going to go to your second level, which are going to be acquaintances, friends, your softball team, people at your church, right? That you know them, you see them. If you called them, they'd answer the phone and say, hey, Steve, how's it going? Right? But you probably don't have a deep relationship with them, right? And then we're getting out there, farther, acquaintances, distance. Now we're getting to who's your dentist, right? Who's the teacher of your kids at school, right? We're getting a little bit farther out there of people that can do that. Like every one of my dentists I go to, like doctors for that matter, I bring them a Millionaire Real Estate Investor book. Because I guarantee they already have a house. By the time I meet them and they're a doctor, they've went through all this stuff, they have a house. But what they may not have is investments. So I bring them that. I just bring them, here's a gift to you. I'm a real estate agent. Here's a gift. If you ever want to talk about investing, let me know. If you got something already lined up, don't worry. I just want to give this to you as a gift, right? Because what am I trying to do? I'm trying to take all the people in the circle and I'm trying to move them closer to me. Does that make sense? So your goal over time is to move those people in your sphere closer. And think about that. If you do that year after year after year and you're diligent with that, how big is that circle? Think like that. How many people are on that second level right next to you, right? And if you can get a lot of people in that second level right next to you, man, like you can get 100 people in that second level, and those 100 people are your cheerleader, how big is your business? All right. So think of real estate like that. Real estate is relationships. No one is going to buy or sell a home, the biggest financial decision in their life, without a relationship. Make sense? They're not going to do it. All right. I've been letting people know at the storage field that I work with, and I can now assist them find. Yes, exactly. I have an agent who's newer, and he's doing Uber to make ends meet. And his listing he just got was an Uber ride. Because every person that gets in that car, he's letting him know he's a real estate agent and handing him a business card. And he's engendering trust through the conversation of the Uber ride. Make sense? So like, my wife hates this, but we would go, I don't do it anymore, but she would hate it when I do this. Kids' schools are great. Yeah, kids' schools. Oh my gosh. When my son, I have 2 kids, but my son was, he's autistic, but high functioning. Now he's actually 11th grade, doing fine, generally. So, but in the end, he was special ed. So I was really concerned as a parent. So I went in and was VP of, the parent-teacher association. And then I was president for 2 years because I just wanted to be close to my son and make sure things were happening and grease the wheel, so to speak. Man, I started working that crowd. I was getting all the teachers were buying homes for me, right? I started getting the parents too. And it got so big, the teachers got me connected with the teacher union. And I worked a deal where I contributed part of the commission. I gave some money to the teacher and I gave some money to their charity fund they had for teachers. And the union pushed me to all the teachers. Make sense? So circles and circles and circles and bringing people closer into your circles, right? So go to your Nexus. Kids schools are great. Yeah. So just know, I used to be in line at the, how many of you go grocery shopping? How many stand in line waiting to get checkout? You know what I do? When we're in line, I start talking to my wife about a real estate transaction or something I did in real estate or something I learned or the news about real estate. And then you know what the people around, and I'm a kind of a loud guy, so I just talk a little bit high. So you know what the other people say? Oh, you're a real estate agent? And I said, yeah. And I was like, ooh, the market's a little rough right now. Well, it's a little rough. Rates are high, but man, listings are coming on the market. If you're a buyer right now, we can get your rate down to get you in a program to buy your rate down to 5. Man, we can get you a deal. I can negotiate some stuff for you, right? And they're like, really? Well, and I guess all the time, I have a house around the corner. If you know your inventory, you know your area where you work. I said, yeah. They're like, how much do you think that's worth? And I'm like, well, I have to see how many bedrooms, bathrooms you got. What street are you on? Right? And I ask them and I get that and I say, great. I think you're around here, this value range, 500 to 550 on your house. But I'd love to come see it, check it out. They're like, or I can just send you something more detailed if you like. Great, yeah. Do you have a card? I was like, no, here. I'll just text with me. I'll make sure I'll get you something. Text me your address, right? Your email address. And I have them text me just so I get their phone number, right? And I did that all the time in the line. And my wife hated it because she knew I was just lead generating in the line. And I got so many leads from, and the good part is they're in your community because they're freaking shopping right there, right? So, just think of everywhere you are, the more you can understand you're a real estate agent, the more that the relationships and you're wanting to push people in the circle is going to be better for you. So,
John,
yes.
yeah, I'd like to add to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You were saying about going to the doctor
Mhm.
or the dentist.
Mhm.
A story about going to the dentist. When you're going there, you should ask, do you own your building? And a
Oh,
lot of dentists don't. Now, if their landlord raises the rent, I have a couple of stories about this, but the one is they can raise it to where, it just is exorbitant for them. Well, if they want to leave, it's not like they can just find another place in a week. It takes 18 months to reconfigure all the infrastructure for all the dentist chairs, the plumbing, the electrical, yada, yada. Anyway, a friend of mine made a career of working with dentists.
yeah. You can be super nitty.
Yeah, and that's how he met his wife as well. But
Good part about real estate too. You meet a lot of people.
yeah, so he's down in San Diego, but yeah, he got a lot of dentists into their own building.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Thank you for that, Sherry. That's perfect. where you'll find niches. Remember, I look for buckets of business, right? Like you'll find people, there'll be people in your sphere and database that are multipliers. I saw she don't. Okay, perfect. Yeah. There are multipliers, meaning they know a lot of people and they have a lot of influence. Business owners have a lot of influence. Managers, CEOs, people at top, presidents know a lot of people, have a lot of influence, right? So when you look at your circle, I know I can go to everyone and point at your circle and you can put in a list of people and I go, what do they do? What do they do? And I can guarantee there's a few people in your sphere that are heavy hitters, right? And those you should put double effort on because they generate you more leads. Does that make sense? So like, if I get a doctor client, man, I am working that. I got an ER doctor once, and man, half the houses I sold were ER doctors and nurses, right? That year, when I was president of PTA, half the houses I sold were teachers and parents, right? Like, get those niches; they're valuable, right? So thank you for sharing, Sherry. I really appreciate that. Let's move forward here. Okay, so we're going to talk about the lead generation model. Now we're going to get a little technical here, and I'm going to share something with you. So this is the lead generation model. It looks quite daunting, I know, but we're going to break it down here. So we're going to talk about lead capture. We're going to talk about two different things, prospecting and marketing.
I have a question, John.
Yeah, Michelle, go ahead.
It's about the whole doctor thing. So I actually have a lot of friends who are doctors, and one of my friends, he's actually getting his license and he's a doctor just because he's all about investments. But I have other friends who are doctors. I have friends who are restaurant owners, but I'm a new agent. So you mentioned that you always bring like your millionaire investment thing. Did you create that yourself? Is there somewhere within KW that I could, I guess?
I would talk to your team leader. They should have what I call the KW library sitting around somewhere where they have these books. And they're like, and there's also, if you go to kellerinc.com, INK, kellerinc.com, you can buy, and I used to buy buckets, you buy boxes of these, but 20 of them. And they're like $10, I think. I forget what they are exactly anymore. But I used to buy a bunch of these books and hand them out. And so now I just have a store of them. And your team leader should have a store to help you generate them. And if you could sweet talk them, maybe they'll give it to you for free, right? So that would be a way to get these books. And if you really want to work that niche, then I recommend you read the book.
Are you talking about like the regular?
Yeah, so like before you hand it out, I recommend you read the book. That way you look knowledgeable when you talk to them about it, and you can sound excited about it, right? So remember, I'll give you a trick in lead generation. 75% of lead conversion. So how you lead convert, that means get someone to agree to be your client. 75% of that factor is energy. How much energy you bring to that conversation. And I can tell you, me, like, I am more passionate about some of my buyers and sellers' goals than they are. Like, I love it. Like, we're going to get you across the finish. You got to put you on my back. I'll carry you on my back. We're going, right? Because like, I'm passionate about it. And that will help you convert. I'm just giving you a tip. Like, if you suck at everything else and don't know your scripts and everything, energy will get you across the finish line 75% of the time.
Sure. But really quick, you said KW Library. Is that the actual book? Oh, Keller Inc.
KellerInc.com. And it will have all the main books. There are 4, but Millionaire Real Estate Agent, Millionaire Real Estate Investor, Flip, and Hold.
Sure. So are you recommending that I give the investment one to my doctors, my dental like people, or my friends who are owners?
Yes, I would give the investor book to anyone you know has excessive amounts of income.
Awesome. Thank you.
Because trust me, in our world, if I have a home buyer, like we just get a home buyer in our world, our messaging after they buy is we switch it to investor messaging. Because in 2 to 3 years, they're going to have equity in that home, even if that we can use to invest. Like we switch it automatically because how sexy is real estate investing right now? I mean, really. I mean, how many flip shows are there? How many investor shows are there on TV? How many people are watching this stuff? I know people who pay $15,000 to go learn how to flip a house, right? Like, Like, it is serious out there. And if you're a local person, you can say, I can help you, and here's a book, and here's how you do it. Well, guess what? You're going to get some traction, right? That's going to make some people look up and think. So think about things that attract people. You can see it in the marketplace. It happens. Like I put out feelers to people. Like, you know, if I help someone buy an investment home, man, I post that, I send that video email to the database, because that is super sexy to them, and people will raise their hand, right? And say, I want to do the same thing. How do I take my equity and invest, right? Because I can tell you what, everyone wants to get out of the rat race. The reason you joined real estate is because you want to, either you got out of the rat race and you don't want to go back, right? Or you need to do something, or you haven't earned enough money in your lifetime now to where you want to be. So you're getting out of the rat race to do this. So everyone wants your job. They're just too afraid to do it. So show them what you can do, right? So, all right. Whew, we're moving forward. Okay, DJ. Any other questions? That was good. So doctors, lawyers, nurses, accountants, these people have money. Anyone high level executive positions, they got money. Let them know. And then your database. So do it. Prospecting marketing. Prospecting is, I call labor intensive, low cost. So what are some real estate prospecting activities? Can anyone name any? Thank you, Marissa, for putting the coloring in there. Anyone? Okay, let's an open house. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Open house. Yeah, you got to put out a bunch of signs, and I know in Sacramento in the summer it gets like 100 degrees. So like I'm putting like I literally would wear a t-shirt and put out signs, and then take off that t-shirt at the house and literally put on new shirts and put on new deodorant because you sweated so much, right? So literally it's just work and labor. It's not cost. It's just work and labor. And literally you can do it, and you can even open host other listing agents in your offices, houses, right? So there's no cost to do it. High labor, low cost. Make sense? Prospecting. So let's talk about what those are. Open houses. Calling your sphere, low cost. Posting on your social media and interacting with you, so low cost. Does it make sense? Dialing, just calling, even dialing, prospecting, calling strangers, low cost. Does that make sense? Now, there's marketing. That gets expensive. So what would be some marketing? Mailings, radio advertisements, TV advertisements, and even on social media, going from social posting to advertising in social media would be marketing, right? Does that make sense? So those are the difference. And we're going to talk about being more prospecting based as a thing. I know some of you are going to be worried about leads, and you're going to get tempted because you'll get 1,500 people, vendors call you, say they can sell you leads and get you success. Don't do it, because they're talking about marketing. And I can tell you, it's only a road to bankruptcy. Don't do it. So, and we can talk about that. Trust me, I've done it. And don't get me wrong, I was a Zillow guy for like 7 years, and I was spending $10,000, $12,000 a month on Zillow and getting a 6-to-1 return on it. But I will tell you one thing: if I kept you on the phone for 7 seconds, I got you. I can close you. I was really good at that. And if unless you have that skills and you're willing to answer all the time, it's not going to be your thing, right? You're going to be prospecting based. So, okay. Those people are going to come into, you're going to get leads. You're going to talk to people and have a real estate conversation. You're going to say something like, hey, are you interested in buying and selling or investing in real estate? And you have that conversation and they say yes or no, or maybe, or we're thinking about it. Those people become leads. We call those leads, okay? And then through contacts, you strengthen the relationship. You have further conversations with them, right? You invite them to one of your events. You send them Happy New Year emails and texts. Does it make sense? Like, you contact them to develop more trust, okay? And I just wanted to let you know a stat. In the United States, the average American says no to an appointment an average of 8 times before they say yes. 8 times. So you're going to have to get that horrible thing called rejection on average 8 times before someone's going to agree to have an appointment with you. And I would not recommend having all of those rejections in one conversation. So I'd recommend that you do that over time and that you get to the 8 through multiple communications and contacts, and that's how you strengthen the relationship to where they feel they trust you and now they say yes. Make sense? Okay. Now we're going to cultivate them in need-based offerings. So we're going to talk about need-based offerings. What does that look like? That means I'm going to give them things that they need. That I'm going to show them, put things in front of them that make it sexy for them to raise their hand, right? What would be sexy right now? What would be needs that are sexy right now? Partnering with Olivia? No, no. What if your lender that you partner, that is in your office or that maybe you part with or friend has some programs to get the rate down to below 5 or 6% into the 5% range? Would that be sexy? We know buyers are super sensitive to rate right now. That'd be super sexy. If you did a video with your lender about that product, do you think people would raise their hand? I like that idea. Right? Have you guys thought about new homes? You can go earn commissions. Go find the new homes that are offering these packages. Most new homes are offering super incentives, credits for and buy down the rate to 5%. And that's super sexy. Say, hey, I just toured this new home model. By the way, this is the package. If you meet with me, I'll introduce you to them and we'll get this deal done for you. That will be something that attracts them. What's it? My team leader and I help vets with home warranties when sellers won't. There you go. All right, find your niche. Buy down options or tax about for sellers. There you go. See? So there's a lot of things out there that when we talk about need-based offerings, they need things, right? When you're talking about dentists, about it's hard for them to move. It's easier for them to buy the property, right? Yeah, so I'm going to give him stuff about how to invest, how to buy his own business and reduce his costs, right? Because those are things that will be need-based for them. Remember, it's not about you, it's about them, right? And the market is telling you what they want, and you need to offer that as an agent. Make sense? We're good? Okay. And then we get conversion, and then we get them as a client and we close them, and then they go back to contacts. Make sense? And now when I talked about your database, that's how it's going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you can just get in this mindset of knowing, I was taught this earlier at Keller Williams. I didn't start when I came over, I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I was taught this and I said, oh, so all I have to do is get a lot of contacts. Get a lot of people in my database. And I just worked very hard at getting a lot of people in my database, and now my database is at 4,000 people. Make sense? And if I love 4,000 people, do you think I'm getting a lot of referrals? Yeah. That's how business gets easy, right? Make sense? All right, let's go forward. Woo! This is exciting. I like this. Okay. Prospecting and marketing are lead gen activities that delivers your business. We talked about that a little bit. So let's move forward. I wanted to this prospecting versus marketing. And we talked a little bit. I want to go a little bit more into this. This is a good definition. Marketing is money intensive, but a lot of agents like this because it's passive, meaning people come to you. Prospecting is you go find people. Make sense? So people come to you. Long-term results, but marketing is long-term results. Usually you have to do something. So a great way to get listings is to do a geo farm. But I tell people you're going to have to drop something on the door, mail something to them, and do open houses in that area for probably a year before you get any serious consideration on business. It's a long-term result. Make sense? I know people who do mailings as agents, and they're looking for a 0.5% return. So they're sending 20,000 letters to get a 0.5% return. Make sense? Now, it pencils, but you're going to put a lot of money out. Does that make sense? To do that. So that's marketing. Prospecting is time-intensive practice, immediate results. So as a new agent, you notice the triangle? You start with the foundation. That's prospecting. Immediate results, proactive, time-intensive. Because the one thing you have as a real estate is time. You may not have money, but you got time. So the good news is start with those. And we already talked about what those kind of activities are. Then when you have a base of money and you have a base of clients and you have that pipeline, then we can talk about and talk to your coach or talk to your team there and start talking to them about marketing, about how I can make this a little less intensive and more passive, right? But I'm using my real estate money. I'm not writing checks from my business, my personal account. I'm using real estate money to do this, right? We good? Any questions so far? Ooh. Let's see our time on that. Okay, ooh, get more people. Let's see. Relationship management. Ooh, okay, let's talk about this. Your database, we're at 2 now. We talked about lead capture. A database is a container that holds the information, leads, and content. A smart database or database allows you to have a planned and meaningful communication with your database. So, what are some things we would like to collect information on or know about people in our sphere, in our phone, these people? What would we like to know to make it a smart database? Because right now in your phone, your contacts is your sphere right now. Excellent. Good. So you should be tracking things like birthdays, kids' names, kids' birthdays, pets' names. If they say they're going on vacation and you know, when they tell you where, remember that. And the next time you call them, say, how was that vacation in Hawaii, right? Those things are important, like email addresses. Yes, neighborhood, family information, perfect. Remember, people feel like you're a good friend and trust, and you get closer to the circle, the more, if I called you after 3 months of not talking and said, how was your Hawaii vacation? You'd be like, wow, this person remembers. That's awesome. They really care about me. Like they move up in the trust level, right? So if you want to go from your database to a smart database, is get it into Command, and you're going to have your Thursday class on Command. Get it to in Command, and it can help you work it, but it also requires you to take those notes and put those things in. And trust me, now when we intake clients, literally on my team, we intake clients and we say, do you have kids? What are their names? What are their ages? Right? We stayed away from birthdays. It gets a little too personal that, but we get their ages at least. So, and we talk about pets, and we talk about those things that are important in their life, because then we talk about that, right? We do those things, and that helps you close too. So I often talk about, like, I had recently a guy who he worked, but he runs his son's soccer team, son-daughter soccer team, coaching there. And he just wanted a bigger house with a bigger backyard because he wanted to be able to play soccer with the kids in the backyard. And so whenever I was trying to convert him to a client, I'm like, I know you really want to play that soccer game in the backyard with the kids. I know you do. I just saw this house that has a half-acre backyard, right? You know, I'm saying these things because I know, because my smart database is there, and I know he's looking for these things, and I have that information, and I'm saying these things that help him get closer to me. Make sense? So that, and if you repeat those things back, they also believe you're listening to them. And listening to someone and feeding back that listening to someone is one of the best ways to engender trust. One of the best
It's
ways
like
to
that
engender
old,
trust.
sorry,
that?
it's like that
Go ahead,
old
Frank.
saying, they don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care.
Exactly. Thank you, Frank. Right? So that you got to show them you care, and you care by listening and repeating back to what they say and affirming those things. And those are going to be the most beautiful. That's how you engender trust. That would be a skill, right? And that's listening, taking it in, and putting it back out there to them to show you're listening, right? So, and then when it comes to your database, and taking that, listening at, putting in your database, because 3 months later, when you call them, you remember still because in your database, right? So use the database to help you build those relationships, because you can do it when you got 20 people, but when you start getting 200, 300, you can't remember, honestly, right? Everyone's going to Hawaii. You can't remember. So, so you got to write those things down in there. Any questions on that? Ahas, comments? Whew. Exciting. Okay. Relationships must be attended to, cared for, and cultivated. Okay. Think of how I should say this. Your database in Command is your business. If I was to say, sell me a business, I want to buy your business, the only thing I'm going to look at is your database, how selling, and how many referrals you get out of it. And I've had, in our business, trust me, in Keller Williams, other mega agents have sold their business to other agents on the strength of their database. Make sense? So I want you to understand that database and the relationships you have with that database are going to be the strength and foundation of your business. And they must be attended to, cared for, and cultivated over time. Good part is Command can do a lot of the automation stuff, but it doesn't stop the care calls and the social media likes and comments. Those things have to come from you, right? So there's a part of this that you have to do, part of it Command can do, but part of it you're going to have to do, and that's the personal touch side, right? How do you
John,
put a price on what you will pay for a database? Great question. It's how much it produces. Think about it. We talked about tracking. See that funnel I talked about? I'm very keen about the plan. I'm sure I literally have an A, B, C list. We can talk about that too, of tracking my leads. I know how many people in my database happen, and I know every given year about how many referrals I get from that database. I can estimate it. And if it's a down market like this, it's going to go down about 5–10%. And if it's a great market, it's going to about 5–10% up. Does that make sense? So I literally can predict that, and they're loyal to me. Is that something I can sell?
But how do you put that price on it? Like I see someone say that one person sold it at $750. How can I determine if what I'm about to pay for a database or data bank is a great price, or if I'm just being taken for a ride?
I would say you have to do a great examination of the database. What I would say is, let's look at your database. How many people on there? How do you communicate with it? What are you doing? Look at their systems and models in the system. Do they really have a relationship with that business, with that database? One, you want to establish that. Two is, show me the stats. How many people are referrals? How many people are directly giving you leads? What's your average price point out of this? What's your average price point? What's your average commission out of this group? Right? If they can't tell you those stats, it's not a real database. I can tell you that much. If they can't tell you that at a high level, it's not a database worth buying. So, but I wouldn't, and there's a lot of ways to make it creative while putting money in there too. So to do that.
is there a
So,
place you go to sell your database or your business?
Mhm.
I mean, do you list
word
it
of mouth.
like?
But don't worry, by the time you get there, you'll know the other agents that would be interested. Trust me.
Okay.
If you get to that point where you have the ability to sell your database for money, you will know the other agents that would be interested in that by that point. Trust me. Real estate is a small world. Let me tell you how small it is. In 2023, maybe not 24, 2023, 93% of transactions were done by 7% of agents. That's a stark contrast. I mean, that's a stark stat. I want you to know that's a stark stat, right? I mean, think about that. Like, most of the transactions are happening with the top agents. So what we're talking about here and all this stuff is we need to teach you how to get to the top, be a top agent right away, because you're working on the scraps. Does that make sense? Now, don't get me wrong. In Sacramento, our average commission is 15,000. So like the scraps aren't, they're still good scraps. Don't get me wrong, right? And you can get there along the way. At some point, you're going to have to, you're going to have to make it to the top. But when you're there, trust me, I'm there. I know all the top agents. And those are the ones that are likely going to buy your database because you're in that world and it's an exclusive world, right? And don't worry, that's why you're here. You're here so that we can train you how to get there, right? Because it's a beautiful world. Trust me, it's a beautiful world. And what I love about real estate, what I really love about real estate, low bar of entry. Anyone can do there. And I don't care how you old, young, black, yellow, blue, white, I don't care, bald, pretty, ugly, short, tall, I don't care. I've seen every agent be successful and I've seen every agent fail. I don't care, come from a poor background, foster kid, I don't care. I've seen every agent make it because the activities and choices are universal. That means you can have success by doing the activities. It's the agents that don't do the activities that have success. So you can, trust me, I've been at Keller Williams Family Reunion, and I've had people up there doing 1,000 transactions a year on the team, and they speak with Gary Keller, and I talk to them, and I hear him, and I'm like, man, I'm smarter than that guy. I'm literally can run mental circles around that guy, and it doesn't matter because he does better, he's more consistent with activities than I am on, literally, right? So understand that. All right, sorry, I'm getting off my soapbox. I'll get off my soapbox. Here we go. Okay. I'll repeat that, please. What do you want to talk about? The number? In 2023, what did I say? 93. Oh, 93% of transactions are done by 11% of agents. Crazy. Okay. So how do we communicate? Phone call. Handwritten communication. Very underrated. Very underrated. Trust me, how many of you get mail right now? If you got a personal letter, that goes a long way. Most people, you do a personal letter, most people will open that up and read it just because you did it. So, email, text messages, face-to-face, KW app, you can share your app. You can do social media. So there's a lot of ways to communicate, and you should have avenues for all those. And Keller Williams will help you with a lot of those, but we can't help you with face-to-face, phone call. We can actually do mass mailing for you, but handwritten communication is here. Yes, Frank, you had a question. Frank?
Sorry, I had a difficulty unmuting. I've noticed I've been doing a lot more work with like foreclosures and auctions.
Mhm.
Trying to, because I know there's there's less competition in that area. But I've noticed as far as like my flyers and my things that I've been handing out, it's like whenever I leave a handwritten personal note, those are the ones that I tend to have more reactions, interactions, and callbacks. Because if I just leave a blank flyer, just leave
Why?
my normal
Why do you think?
flyer, it's because
You're
I think
working in
it's
a
that
world
personal
of
touch.
foreclosures, right? So
You're right.
why would a
Yeah.
handwritten go farther with these people?
I think it's because it's personal. I think they just don't think it's just like I'm paying some random person or just going there and just leaving a flyer on the door and walking away or like a business card. But the fact is, like, I'm leaving a personal message to them and I'm just writing something down and I'm just leaving that there. And it's like, hey, I get that interaction. I went to a house, like, I kind of tested it politically because there's a house that had like a bunch of Trump flags, and I won't even share my political views, but because I just kind of wrote that on my note, and I even put like MAGA at the bottom of my note. I'm like, okay, let me test this. And that person called me back within like 10 minutes of me walking out the door because they heard me knocking, they were home. But it wasn't until I left and they saw that little note that I put a little MAGA on there that they called me and they're all excited, like, hey, are you excited about the upcoming election? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, like it's great, it's gonna happen maybe this time, and they're like, oh yeah, thank you for your flyer, thank you for your time. I've had a bunch of people drop by. I'm like, yeah, but she called me back, and it was because of that little interaction. I was like, hey.
And why do you think, and that's what I'm talking about. If you put your mindset in the way people think and you give them what they need, remember we talked about need-based offerings, right? We talked about that. What's that look like? Anyone in foreclosure or has a notice of default on their house, what do they feel?
Stress. There's stress and worry.
Shame.
Embarrassment.
Right?
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, all those feelings, right? If someone comes to your door and says, I can help you, sir, with your notice of default. Just talk to me. Come on.
I tell them, like, hey,
How would
I
you
noticed
respond to that if you felt shame and anger? Probably not well. You feel like you're getting sold, right?
Yeah. I tell people, like, on my flyers, I'm like, hey, there's a lot of foreclosures going around. There's a lot of things going on there, but there are options available for you. It's like, just give me a few minutes of your time and I can help go over those options for you, And so those are like those little personal notes, those little personal touches is when I notice more feedback versus just leaving a flyer at a doorstep.
The softer touch with those people are going to have a much larger impact, right? Because they want someone to reach out and help them, not sell them.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not a corporation. I'm not.
Especially
I'm not
those
KW.
people because of that, right? So yeah,
exactly. I'm not just KW. I'm Frank, and I'm here to help. KW is there backing me up.
Exactly. And I tell people, like, and our first strategies when I was doing on our first strategies are how you stay in your home. Like, it's not even me earning a commission, right? The first strategies we're going to talk about are how you stay in your home.
Right. That's why I tell them, like, I'm not here just to try to help.
Yeah. If the other options are not available or untenable to you, right?
Yeah, because everybody knocks on the door thinking they're going to sell them. Like, hey, let me help you with the situation. I'm offering help, not, hey, let me sell your house.
So a great example of a type of communication impacting a need source and tailoring your communication to the needs of the person, right? Needs of that group of people. So when I think you got to think at a higher level about who am I wanting to talk to? And that's just foreclosures. I want to talk to dentists. I want to talk to school teachers. I want to talk. So these people are going to have different needs, and the better you tailor your message to them and the way you type a communication to them is better, right? Emergency room doctors, it was text only and you waited 8 hours till you got a response, right? And that's what I did. I didn't call. They're not answering their phone. They're only clogging their voicemail. It's not that. So think about who you're talking to and then decide the communication mode that's going to work best. I can say, just as a rule, text messages are read at a very, very high level. Very, very high level. Very, very high level. They're read. May not responded to, but they're read. FYI, and I want to take you down this path. You may start with text, you may start with social media, you may start in these venues, but you're always trying to take them down the path. You're trying to take them from phone, text, email to a phone call, from the phone call to an appointment, face to face. Right? Now, in our settlement, we have to do buyer broker agreements, right? So no one's going to sign a buyer broker agreement. They're going to agree to pay you to help them show homes without a face-to-face appointment. So think about that. So I always worked, they would ask me questions, and I would just start offering down payment assistance programs or rate buy down programs. And I would say, and they're like, well, what does this one entail? I go, man, I can't do this in text. I do a 500 word text for you that you can't read. When can you just do a phone call? And they're like, oh, I get time at lunch. Great. Can I call you at 12:15? That's perfect, right? I just work it to get to a phone call. And then from the phone call, I get it to an appointment face to face. And if you can think about that kind of funnel in your business, right? We're talking about the lead generation funnel. Think about that funnel. It's start with the texts and the emails and the social media messages and posts and communication, and then whittle it down to a phone call, and then whittle it down to an appointment from there. And that's how generally the process works.
John,
Yes.
what is your tip or maybe your key guide on asking for that appointment? That's a hard one for me.
Okay, excellent. And you have fear around it because you're gonna feel like you're bothering them or selling them,
Yes,
coming off
maybe.
salesy?
Yeah, maybe so.
Okay, yeah. I can totally. Okay. I can tell you, I've come across sales. How many of you have bought cars from a dealership? And how many of you have had people that come to you and they're like super salesy? Like all they cared about was your commission, right? You can tell later. And how many of you have gone to a dealership and like, man, this guy's like, dude, I love this guy and I'm going to invite him to the next barbecue. He's a car salesman at the dealership. Trust me, there's this guy, my wife bought this Audi and I didn't buy it. It was my wife's car. And I was like, dude, I like this dude. Like, I like this dude. I would invite him to my barbecue. And I didn't even buy the car for him. My wife did, right? So so when I talk about salesy and you're worried about that fear of salesiness or being bothersome or salesy, you're salesy if you intend to be there, go after their commission. I don't care about that. You can be the nicest, sweetest talking person. And if you are all about their commission, you will come off salesy. I guarantee it. It's just going to naturally show up through your tone, your language, the words you choose. You don't even see it. It's just happening in your brain. If you're focused on closing and getting that commission, you're going to come off salesy. I'm just going to do it. If you're about helping them achieve their goals, I can tell you, most people have seen me lead generate or see me in have people shadow me at open houses and like, John, you're aggressive. And I go, I'm aggressive, but I'm not salesy. The reason is I'm very passionate about their goals. Like, I'm not trying to get their commission. I'm trying to help them in any way I can. And even if that way is not earning a commission, just being their friend or just referring someone to them, that's what I'm doing because I want to help people. Does it make sense? And I'm aggressive, but I don't come off salesy. So when I talk about how do you ask people for the appointment, this is off your personality. Some of you are going to be like Cherry, where you have a hard time asking for the appointment, right? So I can probably send this. I have to put this in that blueprint. Oh, thank you, Marissa. Thank you for putting that there. There are a bunch of different types of closes to ask for the appointment. And some things, Sherry, that I would recommend is you Google this, and I have a list of them somewhere. I'll get it to you guys through email. I'll have the program send you an email. But there's like indirect closes or assumptive closes. There's things that are very nonchalant. So an example of an indirect closes. It sounds like, Sherry, you and I are on the same page. Sounds like we should take the next step on this one. That's not saying, hey, you want an appointment? Like we should have buyer consultation, right? That's just, you know, so there's ways to do closes that are less pushy. Make sense? Sherry, if you're that personality, I would recommend you learn 2 or 3 of those indirect soft closes that will make you feel good about doing them. And you're not stepping on too many toes, and they're softer, but they'll be good for your tool belt when you're closing. Because Sherry, you're always going to have that feeling. I can tell you can go 15 years in business, and it's still going to crop up in your head that you're being you're not closing. So just have those tools in your database, and it's really easy in your head, so that you're able to just roll them out when you need to in a very easy way that will solve your problems. Now, the other people, and I know these other people, you're not worried about bothering people. You're more fear of rejection. And the problem with that is you people ask for the appointment too quick. Generally, I found. So you may be asking for the appointment too quick, or you're not asking for the appointment at all. So you're great at conversation. Now, I tell you a good example. I had this agent I'm training, Thelma. I love her. She's a mega agent now, and I still coach her for like 6 years. Anyways, I was coaching her, and she's great at conversation. Literally, she had this. Hi, John, I had this great. She called me because she's like, I just had this great conversation. Literally, this couple, I was talking to for 45 minutes at the open house. Literally, he went to the car. His wife went to the car, and he came back to come talk to me some more. And like, it was a great conversation. I was like, great. When's the appointment? She's like, oh, I forgot to ask about the appointment. I'm like, okay, call them. I forgot to ask for the phone number. Makes sense? So like, she is the one that had problems asking for the appointment. So what did I work on her for 6 years on? Was asking for the appointment. Like all we did was learn ways to ask for the appointment in subtle ways, so that she can get that in her mindset to do that. So when you talk about what are the skills I need to learn, Sherry, I would learn some indirect soft closes that will help me ask for the appointment in a non-aggressive way. Make sense? So for those of you who are on the opposite end of the spectrum, you need to ask more questions and then ask for the appointment. And you can ask in an aggressive way or a direct way. You can do that as well. But ask more questions. Trust me, that's my problem. Trust me, I had to learn. When I started recruiting as an agent or a team leader, I was recruiting, and I had a glass desk, and I literally on the bottom of it, I put in there for an hour-long meeting, I put, I can't do anything but ask questions for the first 45 minutes. Literally, I put that on there because I would go to the close too soon. So think about your personality and where you are. If you're like Sherry and I don't want to bother people, you're probably not asking for the appointment soon enough. And you need to build some tools. If you're like, I don't know, Steve seems like someone that's going to go after people. So if you're like Steve, you need to add more questions and have closes after that, right? Don't go right to close, right? So think about where you are. I'll put those closes out there through the email, but you need to learn some of these closes, because asking for the appointment is key. And you'll be surprised. You're going to talk about DISC and different personalities. We don't want to get into that, but that's going to help you things. But there's several personality groups that are a large portion of the population that will not send an appointment with you unless you ask. They will not do it. No matter how great you are, they won't do it unless you ask. So you need to be good at that. At an open house, how do you ask them to sign in? We actually had this conversation just with a bunch of agents. So some agents use a QR code, ask them to fill out an app, although they found some people didn't fill out the app, even though they were supposed to. So that was what you can do through Command. Command has a little QR code you can do. It'll put it directly into your Command database if you want to do that. I have some people who still do handwritten. They're worried about the scribbles. I have one that seems to be the most effective. They literally have their iPad with a tablet there, and they literally sign them in themselves. They say, what's your first name? What's your last name? What's your email? What's your phone number? And literally does it there and does that. You need to if you're going to do open houses as a way to generate leads, you need to get good at getting people to sign in. So I set up right at the front of the house. I literally bring a table. If there's nothing I can put it on, I literally bring my own table. I have a little card table in my trunk. And I was an agent doing open houses a lot. That card table stayed in my car 24/7, right? Like I had a tablecloth because it got kind of dingy. So I put the tablecloth on, and I literally stood at the door. And I'm a little bit bigger guy. So like, I stand at the door and I say sign in, people are going to sign in, right? So, but if you're not that kind of person and you don't want to intimidate people, I would say you can do that. A lot of people use the script of the seller has asked me to have people sign in for security purposes for this house. That is great. Just make sure you check off with your seller that you're going to say that first. So, but you can do that as well. That's a good script that gets a lot of people to sign in. But always get people to sign in.
One of the leads at
Yeah.
my market center suggested to have a digital copy of the flyer instead of print them out and
Excellent.
tell them like, hey, if you just give me your email real quick, I'll send you over the flyer so that way you can view it at your own convenience.
Yeah, and we do that too. Like I've done flyers. I said, here's the QR code, scan it to get your flyer. And when they scan it, it captures their phone number on their cell phone. So you want accurate phone numbers? Do it that way. Often things, right? So there's a lot of way. I know, Sherry, I know an agent who is super not about asking for the appointment. So he literally at the thing says, hey, if you scan this thing, there's a list of vendors I have that do great work. If you need any work on your house or anything like that, or any services, I have a great list of referrals for you and that to scan. So literally he gives them things to get them to sign in and scan, right? So there's a lot of different ways to have success. And I love that, Brittany. That was awesome. So, but open houses and getting people to sign in, I learned very quickly. You don't have to sign in. If you do your lead gen well, I did a 2-week intensive follow-up program 2 weeks after an open house on all these that came in. And I can tell you, I got good enough to where I was securing 1 to 2 appointments at the open house. And I was securing another 1 to 2 in the follow-up. And some of those people I followed up when I didn't even talk to them. They came in, signed, I was talking to someone else and they walked out. But because I got their information, I was able to convert them over time. So if you want to get super serious about open houses, you're gonna have to get good at those skills. You're gonna have to get good at handling signing objections. You're gonna have to get those. You're gonna have to get your setup well where you like it, and you're gonna have to get a rhythm on the technology or the flyers or however you do it to get people to sign in. That's very important, right? And you have to be forceful with it. If you're timid about getting people to sign in, they won't sign in. I was talking to an agent and she's like, well, I'm having trouble getting people to sign in. And I said, well, how do you think about signing in? I go, I think it's kind of evasive. And I go, well, if you think that way, then you're going to show up that way when you talk to people. And they're not going to sign in because you're showing up that way. So either you get your mindset fixed around it, or, you need to get your mindset fixed around it that you're not being thing. And that's mostly because you're afraid you don't offer value. You come off salesy if you think you don't have value to offer. If you feel that you don't have value to offer, then get with your coach, get with your skills, get with your lender and start building some value, right? Things you want to offer. What and how do I build that? What do buyer needs right now? What are buyer needs right now? Low rates. So any lender programs with flyers that have low rate or buy down programs are probably pretty sexy right now, right? So if I was at an open house, man, I would have the flyer wall of different buy down rate buy down programs. Make sense? What do sellers want? What if a neighbor walks in the open house? What do sellers want? What's that? Closing costs paid? Yeah, closing costs paid. You can talk about how you negotiate how you negotiate on your last contract. You got a $10,000 credit on the thing, right? So top dollar, yeah, market data. So I have a flyer in my open house that literally just lists the comps in that neighborhood. And you know what? Everyone who's a neighbor in that neighborhood, they're all glued to that thing, right? Because they want to see what their neighbors are doing, right? And the needs are, I tell you, I got in so many houses from open houses because I would just say, I know they're a neighbor, blah, blah. And I was like, how does this help? And this is the question they want you. Why do most they come in, they call them looky-loos. You call them looky-loos, and every agent blows them off. I don't blow off the looky-loos because they own a home down the street, right? And the ones that are looky-loos talk a lot. So if they're your friend, they talk a lot about you, right? So I like the looky-loos. So I got the looky-loos, and guess what they always say? I said, how's this house? And I always said to those people, how's this house compared to yours? Because I guarantee they're comparing the house to their quality, right? That's what they're doing. And they always say, mine's better, X, Y, and Z. And I say, wow, that sounds awesome. I would really love to see that. My open house ends at 3. I got to pick up my signs. Maybe I stop at 4 and you can show me that backyard that you landscaped. I would love to see that. Make sense? I get in the door. You get in the door, and they might not want to sell. That's okay. Everyone wants to sell one time, but that looky-loo is going to talk. You want to be their agent. Make sense? Like I'm looking for, remember that database in circles? I'm trying to move as many people as I can into my circle. They don't have to sell now. They just gotta be in my circle. Make sense? So, if you understand you approach that everyone I interact with is someone that potentially can be in my circle, you're gonna start looking at people differently. Right? You're not gonna start judging people. Oh, they don't want to buy and sell now. I ignore them. If you look at everybody, you're gonna create a bigger circle faster, right? So, oh, sorry. Like this. I was doing this door knocking for my open house, and this guy, and this old guy, and he had a metal screen door on there, so I couldn't see in, but he could get out. And then knocked on the door, and he's like, "I don't want anything you're selling." Yells us out through the door. "I don't want anything you're selling." I said, "Sir, I'm not selling anything." "Well, I guess I'm selling a house down the street, and I'm doing an open house, and I didn't know if you wanted to stop by or you knew someone who wanted to buy a house." He's like, "Oh. I'm old. I'm not moving. I don't need to buy a house. I don't know. I'm so old. All my friends died." Literally, that's what he said. This. He said, I'm going to die in this house. So I was like, "Okay, sir, I appreciate that." I started talking with him. I was like, "You know what my goal is?" He's like, "What's your goal?" I was like, "My goal is that you love me so much that in your will and trust, you tell your kids that I have to sell your home after you die. That's what I want. Can you promise me that?" And he busted up laughing. I got like 2 referrals from him. I haven't sold his house, but I've gotten like 2 referrals from him. So like, think about where people are, right? So think about where people are. All right. I did that same thing. Oh, Keisha, I love that. You did the same thing. I love people. Oh, that's awesome. All right. Woo. Tell them you'll give them a credit up to $500 for moving expenses. All right. Now, I'm just be warning. You can make your money a value proposition. I wouldn't recommend that, but you can. All right. Let's just say this. The listings I get tend to be, well, now we can't, but before they could be 6%, but I will get top commission rates. I wouldn't discount commission, and I rarely discounted my commission. I just made sure I showed enough value to get the commission I wanted. And if you have to reduce your commission or offer expenses to get that business, it means you're not showing enough value to earn the money that to make people feel that you're worth it. Make sense? And so you can choose, and it works both ways. You can choose to be a Walmart realtor, and you can choose to be a Nordstrom realtor. You can choose. Literally, it's your customer service choice, and you can choose. I'm just saying it's a little more rocky with those people, because if people view you only for your money and your value, they're going to always whittle you on your money and value. And you're going to attract people that only care about the money and not about your value propositions, right? So just be careful about how you construct your business. You're going to attract a certain people to it. So, okay. But having said that, like with the teacher group, I offered it. I said, I'll pay for your appraisal and I'll do a donation to the teacher fund, right? So there are clients I did that where I gave my money away to get as an incentive because the teacher union wanted that as the, I said, look, everyone who does a transaction, I put $500 in teacher charity fund. They're like, yes, do that, right? They're loving that idea, right? So just understand that. All right, gotta get going. Okay, client referral loop. We talked about this. Your database generates leads and in the form of new, repeat, or referral business. So, and honestly, if you can hang around and do this for about 3 to 5 years, it will create a feedback loop that makes it a lot easier. The lead generation gets a little easier, a little lighter. That makes sense. But you gotta get that feedback loop going over time, right? And most agents quit. Remember, I said 3 to 5 years. They quit. They quit right as the feedback loop is about to come around. And they quit too soon when those people that helped them buy 1 year ago are going to start selling and buying now, right? They missed that feedback loop, right? So, all right. Whew. Put it all together. Okay. Lead generation never ends. And let me show. I want to stop share. Hold on 1 second. I want to share this. Ace. This is, we don't use this anymore, but I want to show you because I still have it. This is literally a client. So I structure my team as A people. These are all my A people. Literally date, last touched, type, principals, address. This is kind of commercially. So what they're looking for, notes with dates, times, everything on there. that make sense? Now, you can structure the same thing in Command. So we moved to technology on this, but this is just, I wanted to give you a visual example of what you can do. And literally this is A's, and then I have B's. So I track my leads in A, B, C's. So what does that mean? A's are people that want to do business now. So I use a standard called ready, able, and willing. That means they're ready to buy, they're able, financially able to buy or sell, and they're willing to do it right now. Make sense? So if you're missing one of those, and you talk to people, they're going to missing one. They're able and willing, but they're not ready, right? Or maybe they're ready and willing to, but that able part of getting pre-approved is not so much there. Does that make sense? So you're going to meet people as you come across leads that you'll need to categorize in different ways so that you know where to spend your time. Make sense? So A clients, we track them. A's get touched daily. Now, it doesn't mean we call them or text them every day. It just means a mental note. Is there something I need to do for my A client? Or is there something I need to reach out to them? Or is there some need-based message I need to put in front of them, right? Or do I need to look for homes? We just mentally touch A's every day. B's are people missing one of those things. They're usually farther out, 3-6 months out, and they are missing one thing. They are ready and able, they're just not willing. Like this guy, Ryan Wenzel, man, I'm talking to him, and he has this great farm, 1.2 million almond farm in the Central Valley here. And I'm trying to get him, and he is willing and able, just not ready. And I'm just working on the ready part, right? Ready. Like harvest is, harvest finished. You should be ready to sell now, right? You're done with the heavy work, right? So those things you need to work on. I do B's, and then I do C's. They're missing 2. They have 1. They showed up in a lead somewhere. They said, I'm interested in real estate, but they're missing 2 of it. They said, I'm willing to do it, or I'm working on my ability. They're saying I want something, but it's farther down the road. 9 months, a year down the road, they're just thinking about it. Make sense? So I do ABC. ABCs mean I had a real estate conversation with them, and they responded with a yes, or a maybe. That makes sense? That means I had a real estate conversation, and I asked for an appointment. They maybe said no, or maybe, or no, 6 months from now, or whatever. They gave you some timeline so that they know you're a real estate agent, and you asked them a real estate question for an appointment, and they gave you something other than yes. Make sense? So if they give you yes, A. If they give you something other than yes, then put them on the timeline if you think they're worth having that conversation. And then we have leads. Leads are people that I'm trying to talk to, I just haven't had a real estate conversation with. What does that mean? People at my open house, they signed in, but man, I don't remember having a conversation with them. I don't recall anything. I don't do anything. I would classify that person as a lead. And if I call them after the open house and finally get them on the phone and ask them about real estate, then I would move them off lead to somewhere else, right? Makes sense? So you need to be able to structure your lead generation. I talk to B's once a week. I talk to C's about once a month. So, and that's how I manage my time commitment on lead gen, right? Is I put my efforts into places where it's going to generate me more leads, right? Or more likely transactions. Ooh, okay, sorry. There we go. Okay. Ooh, okay. This. Ooh, okay. Oops, not that one. Okay. Can everyone see the slideshow again? Okay. Categorizing your sphere of influence. This messed up. I don't know what the slide's messed up, but immediate family, friends, relatives, neighbors, past coworkers, hobby sports, teachers, worship club volunteer, professional services, financial or legal services, personal services, home auto service, real estate agents, real estate services. So don't neglect your hobbies. Great source. I had this, she just actually retired, actually. This great agent, she worked for the state for a long time, retired, joined, said, wanted to do this. And first day she comes back and she's like sweating. I felt bad for her. She was like, hair was like matted to her head, sweating because she door knocked for her open house and it was like 100 degrees outside. And she's like, she comes in all pissed off. She's like, I just retired to go back to harder work, right? Literally, she's like about to cry. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, this and that. I was like, no, let's stop this, time out, let's change your lead gen plan. What are you doing? So she's like, And like, we're gonna talk about your family, your friends, your old coworkers, if you're still there, what other hobbies you do. She did Meals on Wheels. I want you to let everyone know who does Meals on Wheels volunteer that you're a real estate agent. Okay? I want you to figure out the people that you deliver to, who own homes. Or even if they rent the homes, if they know the owner of the homes. She did a China doll class. I want everyone in China doll class to know that you're a real estate agent. She also did bowling leagues, 2 bowling leagues. She said, I'm the secretary. I go, fantastic. You already have all the contact information. I said, I assume, and what kind of bowling is it like? They're breakfast leagues. I said, great. I bet you get someone to sponsor breakfast every time. They're like, yes, I want you to sponsor the next breakfast. And I want you to get in front of everybody. I want to say, you're a real estate, I'm a bowler on your league, and I'm the secretary, and I'm your real estate agent. I love your business. Let have your business. If you so choose. Every year, 10 to 12 deals, retired. All she did was that. Never lead gen, open house, nothing. Just worked that. And all her clients were Meals on Wheels, China doll people, former coworkers, friends and family, or bowling. Honestly, I can tell you that. And literally, she got tired. She's supposed to retire. So one year last year, she was like, John, my goal was 12. I hit 12 in June, and I'm done. I'm just not going to do real estate I just need a sabbatical. I said, okay, see you soon. And she disappeared for 3 months. She comes back for like in November. She says, oh, I got a friend I need to help sell a home. So I came back. Like literally, she just took it off because, but she got her surveillance, so it was tight. Does it make sense? So tight. So understand that sports, if you like a sport, get involved. Teachers. I have a mega agent team that, man, most of their business is from their church. They go to their deacons in a major church and they get most of their business from the church. And there's other agents in the purse. They're just high in there, right? They do it well. So think about that. Go wide with your stuff. There's a good exercise that we do in Bold. Think about who's your favorite music artist, singer. And I know that's going to greatly vary by age, but let's see. For example, I really like Bruno Mars. I love Bruno Mars. Actually, I like a lot of teeny girls, but I don't know why. I mean, teeny age girls singing. I don't know why. But anyways, it's like Olivia Rodrigo. I think. Anyways, okay. But say Bruno Mars was coming, and they were coming. You know Bruno, and Bruno's coming to your backyard. In fact, you can't even fit in your backyard, so you rented the park next to your house, and you're going to invite everybody because Bruno's coming, and this is going to reset your real estate career. Like this one event is going to reset your whole career. You're going to go from 250 people to 5,000 people. Who would you put in there? Who would you put on that list to call? And I guarantee it goes beyond your cell phone. I guarantee it. Make sense? So if you run that exercise, you're worried about, I don't have enough people to call, start running that exercise. You will start thinking about people. You're thinking about groups of people. You're thinking, all my coworkers at that old job I was at, all this, all that. You'll start thinking of groups of people. Does it make sense? So go wide on your sphere, but you need to categorize them because you're going to talk to them differently. They have different needs. Trust me, teachers have different needs than your neighbors and relatives, right? Does it make sense? So you want to be able to categorize them so that you can talk to them differently. Because teachers, there'll be hero loans that are just for teachers and police officers and firefighters, right? So there's certain loans that will come or products that will come just for certain groups of people. So you want to note those things. Like there was a teacher loan that was popular and I got a lot of teachers going on it, right? So, all right. You will also, there's a category of real estate agents, you'll get to know a lot of real estate agents. Don't neglect them. They can give you referrals. So love them too, right? So, okay, build your SOI day by day. It's like diet and exercise. Doesn't happen all at once. And the winners, it's like a marathon. The winners are the ones who get up and run every day. They just do it. All right. Expanding your SOI. Just ask. Okay, let me go back to that. I blew that over, but we're gonna just ask. Ask for the referral. So I would do it like this. I recommend Ford, family, occupation, recreation, dreams. We call that Ford. Okay. The one thing I know people like to do is talk about themselves. I guarantee it. You will, and I can tell you what, I've had conversations where all we talked about was them, and they thought it was a fabulous conversation, and I know nothing about them, and they think it's a fabulous conversation. So Ford, if you don't know what to ask about their family, facts about their job, their occupation, right? Talk about things that they like to do. They like to go play softball. They like to do other things, like whatever they want to do, their recreation or dreams. Talk about where they want to go. One of my favorite questions is, hey, if you were to wave a wand, money's not an issue, where would you move? Where would this house be? What community? Where would you be? What would they do? And then you know what they say? They give you a whole bunch of answers. Malibu, well, maybe not now, but you know, like different places, they give me a whole bunch of different locations other than Sacramento, where I'm at. And guess what? I put them on a search for their neighborhood, so they still know the value neighborhood, but I put them on a house search for where they dream to go. And guess what? The open rate on my emails on the house searches got farther than my other emails. Why? Because it's their dream. If I'm sending them houses in Malibu, they're going to start dreaming and looking at that email and start dreaming about it. It's going to make them move themselves mentally forward about moving, right? So you have to ask. Ask for the referrals. So I literally do Ford, ask about them, and I guarantee if you ask questions enough about them, they're eventually going to feel bad and they're going to ask you how you are doing. And that's your in. And you're going to talk about your real estate business and how's it going. And oh, by the way, part of the reason I want to call was catch up, but part of the reason I wanted to ask you is, hey, you know, I'm creating a VIP service for my clients. Like you're going to be invited to events and discounts and referrals and other things and gifts. And I wanted to make you a part of that. But it's for my VIP people. And I call you because you're one of my friends and I want to put you here. I just want to know, are you working with the agent or do you refer out? Do you refer with another agent, or are you? Or can I count on you to be a referral source for the people? And they said, what does that mean? I mean, if someone asked you about, they're talking about buying or selling a home, that you would refer me. And they say, yeah, John, I could do that. Great.
Speaking of the referral, I mean, if you're in a certain age bracket, you've got friends whose parents are now starting to downsize, and then their children are starting to get married. What do they need? A house. So you've got it on both spectrums. And to, like you said, if you incentivize it with a referral, a monetary referral somehow, then that is even better, really.
So yeah, show you right. Honestly, I've ran a very robust business, and I've very rarely given out money as incentive to do it. I just do it based on my relationship and my value that I provide people, right? And I'm very about people's needs. I identify what their needs are, and I'm very dogged about getting to a solution for them, right? And when they tell your need and you're very dogged about getting a solution to them, they see the value, they see your commitment, they see the trust, right? So, but at the end of it, you got to ask, hey, are you planning to buy or sell a home in 2025? Well, I say buy, sell, or invest. Are you going to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in 2025? And they say no. Then I pull in the VIP conversation. I said, great. Yeah, I know you moved. What's your most recent address? And I fill in my information. How old's your kids now? How old's Johnny? Right? I start expanding my business, right? Because you want to get your database tight that way. So, strengthen the casual connections. Oh, look at that picture. That's what I'm talking about, right? Kids. And Sherry, your group, right? They're going to have different needs, right? They're going to have different needs, like casual connections. Downsizing is big, right? Downsizing is big. Those sort of things are going to be different, right? So if you're working with senior community, but know where your connections are. Join groups that are connected with people. So your value interest. So I know all of you have interests. You wouldn't sign up to be a real estate agent. You wouldn't sign up to be a real estate agent if you weren't somewhat interesting. So, or at least thought you were interesting. I should say that. Think you're interesting. So, but what I want to do is make sure join the groups. Trust me, that's a great way to expand. And if you don't know anything, join Rotary or something generic, right? Like join something that will get you in front of people, of the people that you want to work with. Trust me, there's a ton of transactions that happen all the time, even in this market. And if you just work your niche of people, you'll be fine, honestly. Okay. Expand your style for referrals. We talked about that. Gather leads. I'm building my business on people I know and people they know. Do you know anyone from your family, friends at work, neighborhood, or a group you belong to who thinks that buying and selling home or investing in real estate? I would be pleased to be a resource to them. If you hear of someone in real estate need, will you keep me in mind and let me know right away? Simple closes. These are examples of the script that are simple closes for you to do when you close, right? So, questions? No? No? Okay. Best lead gen practices, track your lead sources. Okay. You want to track, and you can do this in command, you want to track where your leads come from. Open house, door knocking, friends and family, referral from a friend and family. You want to track those things, and over time you're gonna see patterns in your business. Okay. And what I tell people, and I have agents all the time because they're looking for more business, and I tell them, don't go get new stuff, double down on what you're getting now, right? Get more of what you're good at now because you're good at getting referrals. So work more on getting more referrals, right? So but the only way is you track your lead sources. You audit your lead sources. If you're spending time and money on that lead source, if you go at the end of the year and you realize you put a lot of time into into open houses and you got one conversion from it, maybe open houses are not your thing, and that's okay. There's no knock on it. Maybe it's not your thing, right? Does it make sense? So I want to talk about this. Audit your resources. You want to put time and commitment and money compared to your results. You want to be able to compare those things over time, and that will sort of hone your business to where you want it to be. I can tell you most agents are really good at 1 to 2. They recommend 3 to 4, but most agents start getting good at 1, honestly, and maybe 2 lead generation things, and then they expand from there, but they get really good at 1 or 2, right? So just audit your sources, know you're doing it. Now, I'm just going to let you know, you should think about your personality when it comes to lead gen. If you're what we call an I personality, you like to put yourself out there, you gain energy from talking to people. Make sense? You gain energy when you talk to people. If you're that kind of person, you need to go face-to-face, belly-to-belly. Open houses, networking, meetings, groups. That's going to feel good to you. You're going to be naturally good at that. Make sense? If you're not that type of person, you're more introvert. And okay, let me secret be told, I'm an introvert. It takes me energy to teach this class. I enjoy it, but it takes me energy. Well, I know people that know, man, they would be on cloud 9 after this class. After this class, I'd be like, oh, I'm tired. Let me go home and take a nap, go to sleep, right? So it takes energy. Now, I can learn to present well. I can learn to show energy. I can learn to do these things even as an introvert, right? So there are things you can do, but those are skills. But what I want to say is if you're an introvert, you're going to naturally go toward things where they're more, they're less people to people. It's more phone calls, texts, those sort of things. So door knocking, cold calling, even open houses to an extent, dialing, right? Those are going to be strengths that you do. That's why I said an introvert. I built my business on Zillow and marketing and advertising on the internet for a long time. And I can tell you what, I can get you on the phone and 7 seconds later, and by 20 seconds, I got you, right? I got you, right? And I got good at that because I was an introvert. I want people to call me and I'll just work it, right? And I set up my whole business to do that. And then I realized, man, I'm working too hard. I need to go the other way. And I dropped it and I moved all my business to referral. And I make more money and less headache. So it's awesome. Anyways, but what I want to tell you is think about your personality, what you like to do, and garner your lead gen toward your personality. Trust me, it's going to feel a lot. It's already hard to exercise and diet, right? But if I gave you a diet with food you like, you're more likely to do it. Does it make sense? Same thing with lead gen. If you do lead gen activities that you like more, you're more likely to be consistent and do it. So I highly recommend it. When I was a coach, I highly recommended this based on the personality. I would say I recommend these kind of prospecting activities. Try these out first because they're more likely to match your personality. Okay, so that's an internal choice. You need to think about how you like to interact and do things, but I highly recommend you get to that level, right? So understand where your lead generation comes from. Now, there's always your sphere. Your sphere is the way it is. but the way you interacted is with different. So let me give you a good example. With my sphere, I've met agents, man, they're doing a tremendous business. There's this lady agent in Texas, luxury, she does a huge business. And she does these events, man, they're like girl events, and man, they're like wine and dine, and man, they're nice, and everyone wants to get to these events, and it's like the who's who, right? And she does these great events. That's not me. I'm an introvert. Like, I don't want anyone to come to my house. I don't want to even have wine with people, right? So you know, that's just not me. But I have a strong relationship with my database. My database knows I'm the real estate expert. My database knows if there's anything wrong with their house or any question they have with the house, they can call me. I will help them solve it. Make sense? I will answer the questions. I come off as the real estate expert to my database, and I have that relationship, and I have that relationship purposely because, and I have a good friend who's an agent that does it, and he goes to their kids' birthday parties, and he goes to bar mitzvahs and all this stuff. And man, I just don't want to do that, right? That's not how I want my business. So I set up my relationships as real estate expert, and I still get business, and I still do all my stuff. I just do it to my personality. Make sense? I still have a great business. I just do it to the way I want it to be done, and I do my business in the way that I want to do. Makes sense? So think about that as a real estate agent. What's your personality? How have you had success in the past? How do you like, and if your basics start in, do I get energy from talking to people, or do I not get energy from, it takes energy to talk to people. And that's okay. You can do both in real estate. I'm proof of it. You can do both. You just have to garner your real estate lead generation that way. Any questions on that? Ooh, sorry, that was a lot. I'll get off my soapbox. So.
No questions, but I was going to add that just by calling your sphere, you're able to get help in other ways, even if they're not buying or selling, because I was able to get permission to go and be a part of community events at a local racetrack and market myself there and put out all my flyers and my mailers. And then also use that as an opportunity because this is a racetrack that just got revamped. So a lot of the houses don't like the noise. So I'm going to be going there right around race season and be like, hey, I'm your friendly realtor. Do you not like the noise?
You think of the sign. That noise issue, brother. That's awesome. I like that. But yeah, example, you don't know who you're going to talk to. Trust me, the teacher thing happened to be and that's just because I was caring about my son, and it showed, and I got that network, right? So just think about, that's excellent. Yeah, just call and just understand not everyone in your database is equal. There are some powerful people, like powerful referrers in your database, people with influence, right? Wealth and influence and those sort of things. You know who they are. You need to work hard to get them. Not all referrals are created equal, right? So those people I'm trying to have lunch with. And when you go to lunch, I'm trying to figure out a win for them. Like, how can this relationship be a win for them? Right? What do they need in their life that I can maybe provide or help with that makes a win for them? Because that will make it a good relationship. You'll get a good relationship with those people if you can make it a win-win relationship. Don't take it, but give. Figure out what they need in their career, their life, their business that you can help with, and be creative, right? So, and if you don't know how to be creative, talk to your coach. I'll put my stuff in the chat. You can text. I'm busy, but you can probably text me or call me. A text is probably easier, but 02. But just think about that because you'll want to. Oops. Oops, that's everyone. Sorry. There you go. That's my contact info. So if you want to do that, make sure you understand that you need to target people, diversify your database, like go after people. I love the racetrack idea. Get to the racetrack. It's a whole group and network of people that you don't know or not likely to know, but now you get to know, right? So diversify your database. Get that going. Woo, be consistent. Any questions? How do we get recordings of the calls? I would like last night and tonight. You were great. Okay, awesome. Thank you. They should be emailed to you from your Ignite at Night program. So check your emails. The links will be in there. So time block your leads at time, prepare, mindset, practice, call list. I recommend you practice scripts daily if you're new. Find a script partner and practice, like those indirect closes I talked about, soft closes or direct closes. Get good at those. Get good at forward. Get good at asking questions. How's the family? How, practice those 4 conversations. Those are important. You want to script those things and practice. Mindset. Mindset's important to making calls. I would tell myself, because I didn't want to be salesy, so I'd always tell myself, I am going to greatly help people today. I'm going to help one person today move forward in their life at how they want to, right? I'm going to help someone move forward in their life. That's what I want to do today. And so I put myself in a mindset. Even before open houses, kind of dating myself, but back when I was a little younger in this business, I started at 30. So don't worry, you can start later. I started at 30. I liked Eminem, and he had that 8 miles on one opportunity, right? One opportunity. And I would play that before, literally in the car, blasting it before the open house, because I was getting the mindset, there's going to be one person that's coming today that's going to change my real estate business. And I need to be ready for that opportunity. I need to be there. And it helped me stay attentive to people's needs, listen, and close, because I was always intense. I was getting the right mindset to close that deal, right? Take conversations, database, follow up. Whew, sorry, talking a lot of stuff. I do that every day. It really helps. It does help. Thank you. Okay, great energy. Ooh, thank you. I love the comments. Oh, okay. Whew. Let's go. Let's stay here. Battle distractions. This is the biggest thing. Build a bunker. Now, I'm one that likes to drink a lot of water, and my mouth gets parched. So in mine, I literally have a Stanley cup that sits at my desk all the time. Otherwise, I will get up and get water and look for reasons to go get water or drinks, like I will. So I stay here. If you like to eat, then store provisions. Sweep for minds. So getting your kids up. So don't go wake up your kid, just text them or set the alarm on the phone. So, sweep for minds and list support. Tell them daddy can't do this right now. Mama can't do this right now. You got to list support, right? So like get your family on board, protect your bunker in time. If you got a home office, a great way to have that less distractions, doing a real estate office. Like go, if you can get an office in the real estate, that's good, because you can protect your time on that, right? So, and other agents understand that, and they'll sort of leave you to as near the agent time. But I would highly recommend getting distractions out of your bunker. Trust me, I have mine, and I close my door. When my kids were younger, I picked them up for school and did all this stuff and dropped them off and see them. I literally had an office. I would literally get dressed as a real estate agent in my real estate agent clothes, even though I'm at home. I would drop my kid, come back, and I would walk into my office like I'm going to the office, and I would make calls just because I wanted my mindset the right way to make those calls. And I did 20 to 30 deals a year from home calls, literally. Right? So from home, but I was good about building my bunker. So, okay. Woo! We're there. How's your thinking changed? What ideas and new mindsets? What do you feel differently about meaningful today? How are your behaviors different going forward? What actions do you take? What tools or model systems like you? What have you learned that was the biggest aha for you today? Let's take a few examples. We're almost done. Come on. If you're not going to be brave here, you're not going to be brave out there. So
for me, honestly, I've never heard about Ford.
Okay.
So for me, that was actually a really good one, like at least abbreviation. I mean, I'm pretty good with talking with people one-on-one. I'm one of those people that's better in person instead of over the phone. I just feel like weird and not genuine on the phone call. So, but like once I'm there with somebody, like I have a good way of just being able to connect with somebody, because you can look at something, you can see something on their keychain or at their home or on their background. You're like, hey, I like that show, or I know this. Some guy had like a Ted Lasso jersey on. I'm like, oh my gosh, freaking Ted Lasso, I love that show. So there's always something you can do to start a conversation with. But in case you're running out of talks, ideas to talk to, like Ford, like family, occupation, recreation, like dreams. I think that was like the biggest one. Like so that way you can kind of focus on helping them set a goal to work with them. That was great for me.
What are their goals? What are their dreams? But trust me, if they're a parent, man, they will talk about their kids all day long. So talk about the kids, right?
Exactly. I could do that all day. Yeah.
Easy answer, easy question. And that's how you do it. What else? Thank you, Frank. Who else? What'd you learn today?
Categorizing my database a lot more accurately than what they are.
Yeah. Get that tight. Get that tight. That will save you gold, and it will convert better, right? You can message better, you can convert better. All those things are going to happen, right? When you do that, you make it into a business. We talk about selling your database. The more detail, the more categorization, the better you can nuance things, the more likely it's a sellable database, right? So we're talking about that, Keisha. All right, who else?
I'd
Who's
say
going to change their behaviors different going forward? What are you going to change different about your lead gen? Anyone changes their different after this meeting? Okay, Steve, you're raising your hand. Unmute yourself. What's up? What are you changing? Oh, wait, you're not muted. No. Uh-oh.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Well, I would definitely be calling my database every single day. The those especially that were the hot contacts, those that were you categorized as type A, they're ready, willing, and able. Those are the guys that I would.
Oh yeah, ready, able, willing. You should be talking like all
Every
text,
single day.
call, send them a house, send them this new listing, that beautiful listing. You know, the best thing I found, if you have nothing to say, find the most beautiful house that just came on the market. I mean, like the flip home that's just stunning, even though not on the price page, not on the name, just sent to you. I was like, I saw this house. This thing's awesome. I thought you'd want to see it. Like, just send something, right?
Oh, I love that.
To get loved on, right?
That was a light bulb for me, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Awesome. I like that. All right. One thing I want to do, show you AHA Success System. I want to show you this. This is an Ignite. I can't hold you to it because I'm only teaching this one class. But if you want a successful business, you should be doing 10 conversations a day. You should be adding 10 new people to your database a day. And you should be sending all 10 people you talk to a handwritten note, which means if you're going to do that, you have to get their home address. Right? 10-5-1 social media engagement. This should not, but you should be liking 10 people. You should be writing 5 comments to people in your sphere, and you should be doing 1 direct message to people. You got that? If you can stick to that formula, I guarantee you will cap. I guarantee you'll be considered Rookie of the Year in your business, in your office in 2025. I guarantee it. And now, doesn't that sound super simple?
Hey, John.
Yes. Michelle.
What is 10-5-1 social media engagement? I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
10 likes, or hearts, whatever, 5 comments. I'm literally reading their post, commenting on it, and 1 direct message where I'm actually sending a message to someone I know, right? In my sphere. Now, some of you are naturally social media, so you're going to do that anyways, right? But if you're not, I'm not a social media, I have social media, don't get me wrong, and I do it, but I have to train myself to do it because I'm not natural, I'm an introvert, remember? So I do 10-5-1 because I just have to do it. I go through and make sure every night I'm commenting and liking, and I direct message people that I haven't talked to in a while, all right? That makes sense? I just do it. If you're naturally doing it, great. If you naturally do it, then you're going to suck at the conversations and contact added. You need to work on that. If you're naturally bad at social media, you're going to be great on contacts. You're going to suck on the social media side. So just figure out what you're going. So, but I'm just going to say this daily success program. If you can do this, you can just hold to this simple system. You will have success. I guarantee. And yes, because you can be the worst converter, not ask for the appointment, flub up your scripts and conversations. And if you do enough contacts, you will get a lead and an appointment. Makes sense? And don't worry about the appointment. If you're worried about what's going to happen at the appointment, don't worry. Just get the lead and the appointment. Work with your coach or your leadership team. They will help you set the appointment up right if you're worried about that. Just get the appointment, right? Get the lead, get the appointment. That's the most important thing. There's people to help you get across the finish line after that. So, whew, okay. I think we're done. Any last minute ahas, questions? Anything, anyone? Maybe I should check the chat. There's a lot of chats right now. So this is
Thank
more
you.
for farming 10 notes, talk to 10 people and get 10 contact info. Yeah, 10, not farming. There's a lot of ways to get 10 contacts without, you can go to social events and get 10 contacts. You can go to the grocery store and get 10 contacts, right? Like literally you can do an open house every evening, and if you door knock for that open house, you will get 10 contacts. I guarantee it, right? Does it make sense? So, enrichments are a way of, enrichments are a way of enriching your offerings, your value propositions, learning something, talking to your lender and getting that new, rate buy down program. Those sort of things are enriching your value propositions. You should be working on that too, right? Addressing people's needs, right? So, all right. Any other questions? Awesome class. I appreciate you all. It's almost 8 o'clock. I appreciate you. Hope this was a valuable class to you. My contact information is in the chat. I'd love to hear from you guys and all your success. Happy to share that. My social media, John Morel, find me. You can find me Instagram, Facebook. I'd love to see you, although TikTok's going away right up soon, so I think so. You can't find me on TikTok. So, I'd love to hear from you. And this recording should be on emails. I'll make sure that happens. And I appreciate all of you. And welcome to Real Estate Career. I absolutely love real estate. I think it's the best career in the world, despite what all other people say. That's okay. I love it. And I think you can have all your dreams and success that you want in real estate. All you have to do is believe, practice, and be consistent. Right?
Thank you, John.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Have a good evening. And I know how precious your time is
you.
at this night, and I appreciate you spending it with me. So
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, appreciate your time.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate you coming. I saw you head nodding a lot, so I know it was sinking in. So
Yeah, absolutely.
so I appreciate all of you. I'm gonna end it here. So right now, so end meeting for all. So I'll see you guys. You have my contact info. Love to hear from you. Talk later.